Welcome back to One on One with Mr. Yu. Of course, I am your host, Mr. Yu. In studio with us today, Nathaniel A. Turner, engineer, author, coach. The man does a whole bunch of stuff. Nathaniel, good to have you in the house, brother. How are you, man?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. And I apologize for my tardiness. I'm not usually on CP time, so I just want your folks to know it's my bad.
No, it's no worries, man. I'm a firm believer, man. If you on time, you late anyway, so it don't matter. But it's all good, though. But thanks for being here, brother. I really appreciate it, man. Customarily, I always ask our host, I ask our guests to share about their childhood, their upbringing, kind of how they from where they are, from where they have been to where they are now, kind of in a brief way. But share about your childhood, your upbringing, man. Where'd you come up from, man?
I'm from Gary, Indiana. I'm old. I'm old, so
home of Michael Jackson.
Okay. The home of Nathaniel Turner. Come on, man.
Oh. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No. The Jackson Five are from Gary. Denise Williams. But yeah, there's.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, the first black mayor in the United States, Richard Gordon Hatcher is Gary. So Gary.
I knew that one.
Yeah, Gary used to be the home to the Black Caucus. So a lot of stuff used to happen in Gary. It's not the same as it was anymore. But anyway, I'm from that place. I'm from Gary, born and raised. The son of Gladys and Tommy, the brother of Kimberly. That's where I'm from. How did I get here? I think I'm gonna make it short and sweet. I got here because of the way I was named. My mother and father intentionally named me. My mother wanted to give me a good Christian name, and that was Nathaniel. It's Hebrew, meaning gift of God. My father wanted to give me a name for revolutionary, which is Nat Turner. So I'm named after. I'm named after both. So I'm here. Like I'm here is to be a gift of God, and oftentimes to do things that are revolutionary.
What would you say was a huge turning point for you coming up? I know that, from what I can recall, Gary and Indiana, they had as many accomplishments as they had a lot of challenges too.
Absolutely.
We won't have to go there unless you want to. We got time for it. I'm good with it. But what would you say is a turning point for you personally that got you from that place where it could have been something else?
Yeah, man. I think the truth is I don't think any of us ever know. I think the Aristotle was true. He says, "Bring me a child at 7, I'll show you the man." I think most of who I am happened before I recognized it was happening. By the time I was 7, so I'm going to give the credit to my mother and my father and the village that raised me. That they're the ones that helped me become whoever I am today, and that whenever I needed that, right, it was in me already because they put it in me to bring it out. But one of the things I do remember, I share with people often, is that my father asked me, I asked my parents as a 9-year-old, they asked me what I wanted for my birthday. So as an 8-year-old preparing for my 9th birthday, they asked me what I wanted. I said I wanted a bike. I wanted a dirt bike. My father encouraged me not to get this silly dirt bike. He said, get a 10-speed. Next year, you're gonna want a 10-speed. You're gonna be too big for this dirt bike. I'm like, nope, I want it. Well, he was right. And by the time my birthday's in July, so around March or April, shortly after my sister's birthday, which is in April, it was my turn. And what do you want for your birthday? And I was like, I want a 10-speed. And my father politely reminded me that he told me not to get it. And if I wanted it, that I had to figure out how to buy it myself.
There you go.
And that's at the stage for a lot of who I am and what I do today.
No, I love it, man. Well, we had a fantastic pre-interview chat. You had a lot going on since that time, so maybe perhaps there's some stories in there as well. But I want to kind of get into some of this stuff, and hopefully I can do justice by the incredible life you live. You're a Renaissance man. You've done a lot of things, man. I'm like, where do we start? But let's go ahead and start with you breaking down what you call the backward design blueprint.
Okay.
Break that down for our listeners and for me as well. Yep. What is that? Talk to me about that.
So it originated for me with my son. At least that's the way, as I said to you earlier, like there's things people give you and you don't know they're giving it to you. So I would say, hey, when my wife told me it's plus, meaning there was an early pregnancy test and I was going to be a daddy, that I had to figure out how to do for a child better than my parents did for me. And to do that was backward design. I asked myself as a law student, why am I at this law school that hardly anybody knows the name of? Why am I at the mid to bottom of my graduating class? Why do I not have a job? I've done everything people told me to do, especially coming from Gary. And here I am unemployed, complaining about my father most of my life, to find myself essentially the same person as my father. I'm unemployed.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Wow.
And so now what do I do to make sure this doesn't happen to a child? Then I look backward and say, okay, well, why are you at this school? Well, you didn't do well enough in undergrad. Why didn't you do well enough in undergrad? Well, because you didn't do well enough in high school. Why did you not do well enough in high school? You did well enough in middle school. And you get the gist. So you go back to the origin and you say, well, my parents didn't know how to prepare me. No shade on them. They just didn't know what to do. So now you know what to do. Where is it that you would have liked to end up as a law student? Well, Harvard. If I'd gone to Harvard, everybody would employ me. They care less about my grades. So we requested an application from Harvard and took that application to backward design a child's life. The goal was to make sure that we could raise a child who met the academic qualifications of Harvard. And that's where backward design was born.
I love it. I love it. There's so many areas that we talked about. And I'm like, I wonder which is going to be the one's going to get us stuck today. Because the parents, we spent a lot of time on that. I almost hesitate to go there. I'm like, we might be here for the duration. But it's okay. We're gonna have fun with it anyway, though. But what is the League of Extraordinary Parents? It sounds like something that every parent should want to join. Is there like an opening? It's like an application process. But what is that though? The League of Extraordinary Parents. Break it down for us.
Sure. The League of Extraordinary Parents originates from backward design. Honestly, everything that I've done in the past 30 years has come out of a relationship that I have with a child. So I wanted to be a great father. I wanted to be extraordinary. And so over the years, the more good things that my son do, right, the better the fruit is, the more people start to look at the tree and say, well, what tree did you come from? Wow, this is blue ribbon. Like this tastes really good. It's some grapefruit. Where did I get this from? And so folks would then invite me to go places to come and talk about what we did. I shouldn't say what we did for this young black man, which is really the genesis of it, is that when people see him, he is not at all what most people expect him to be. I tell people all the time, if my son played a sport, he would be Michael Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the way people would see him. Like you to meet a young black man whose parents only speak English, who speaks 4 languages, that's unusual to begin with. Then a young man who gets 27 scholarship offers, who gets a Ph.D., gets 7 Ph.D. fellowships, like I could go on and on. He becomes this statistical anomaly. So folks then start saying, can you do that for other people? I said, yeah, for the children, but I can't do it myself. Parents have to be extraordinary. So then therein lies the origin of the League of Extraordinary Parents, just a way to help other parents help their children live lives well beyond what they could have possibly imagined.
Any success stories from this effort? Because it sounds incredible, man. Any success stories that you can share real quick about?
Yeah, I mean, we have young people today that are in schools all over. In fact, I just came from visiting a young man who we've been working with. He's at the University of Rochester now, working on his MBA. His name is Amambi Diaby. But he's an example of that. There's a young lady we have been working with her family, and she just enrolled at the University of Michigan on a full scholarship.
Go Blue! I love it.
I know you
got me amped now. Okay.
Yeah. So we got a young man who's at Notre Dame in engineering. So yeah, we've been working, and recently we did a program here in Indianapolis and actually applying for some funding to expand it to be able to do that, like a citywide program, and work with about 100 families to help them do the same thing for their children.
Oh man, that's incredible, man. We gotta get that in the show notes, man. I don't think that's even in there, man. That's great, man. We gotta get people hooked up with that League of Extraordinary Parents, man. I love this, man. We talked about we had a conversation about parenting even further. We talked about how it's not for the lazy. We talked about raising children who will never need rescuing. I want you to flesh it out a little bit. This is not because I know listeners who had this problem. I think this is just a general problem that we have, where we kind of raise our kids to, I rarely pause on my show to say anything. I just say what I want. and let it go. But it just feels like we raise our kids to be needy rather than, to be able to be people who fulfill needs. You know what I mean? So talk to us about the mindset, why that's so important to you about raising a child who doesn't need to be rescued in life, and speak to the people who are watching and listening who may have children on the way or young children yet to be formed mentally and emotionally and psychologically yet, and speak to that. But go ahead. Two-part question.
So I will say so let's start with the beginning. I think before any of us become parents, we have to recognize that we live in a nation that would prefer that you not be prepared to be a parent. Like you and I know that most people will complain about systems and structures. We can complain about what's happening in Washington. We can complain about any kind of economic system, any kind of political structure. But the truth is, all of those things manifest from humans. So whatever we get, whatever structures and systems we get those because of the people that we raise. So we don't give enough thought to who it is that we want to raise. Except, and I'm going to say it, you said you would say it, but sometimes you never pause. I'm going to say it. I have seen our people, more concerned about a child playing AAU basketball than they are about the academic and social outcomes of a child. So we'll commit to that, right? So it's not that we can't commit, it's that we commit generally, and I can't say absolutely, but generally we commit to the wrong things. There is less than, a 2% chance that a young male who even plays college basketball will play in the NBA. And yet, every weekend, gyms all over America are full of parents watching 5'0" kids play basketball who have not a chance in hell of playing professional basketball, who I could say to them, let me help you show your child how to become an engineer, how to become a scientist, how to become a mathematician. And those parents would find every excuse not to do that. So hopefully in a roundabout way, I've answered the question. We can do whatever we want to do, but our choices are poor. Like we choose the things to do that have the least probable outcome. It is more likely that you and I can raise engineers than it is likely that you and I will raise NFL Hall of Famers.
I'm not going to disagree with one single word of that. I don't care what people think about this on the back end, because I've seen that myself. I know it's true. And for some reason, and I'm not just saying people of color either, I'm just saying that generally speaking, when people don't have as many options as others, they go for the low-hanging fruit of hope.
Right.
The ones like, you know what, this is the dream. Even though there's no real work being involved in some of that, it's kind of like, I'm just hoping that, it's almost like playing the lotto. Like I said, you know what, there's no work and effort. Like, you know what, I'm gonna just hope I'm gonna hit this number and my life gonna change. That's like lotto. There's no, because anything that has to do with work and having fortitude and being consistent. For some reason, we shy away from those options, and those are the ones that are all on the success journey. I don't care what level you're on. That's wow.
Whatever you do, there's going to be work. I think we can do the work. I just think this nation, from the beginning, positions us such that we're not thinking about the child we're going to produce. If people are thinking about, I want my kid to play basketball, football. Like I have an early picture of my son when he was an infant, and I have a football in one hand and him in the other hand, because that's what we're programmed to do. Even though I've already aligned this program in mind for my wife and I to backward design his life, when the photographer asks us to take a picture, she gives me a football. I got a football in one hand and the child in the other hand, which intimates that somehow I think this child is one day going to play football. My son is 5'7", 135 pounds. He has never once considered any version of football except the one played in England with the round ball that we call soccer.
He ain't even a punt returner at that weight.
He's not even trying to play. He did play soccer and he played in Brazil for a while, but he wasn't thinking about that football. But that's the picture that I have, because the photographer saw me as this black father with this son and gave me a football, and I held the football with the son. All right.
Wow.
But that's the way we're socialized. We're not socialized to have a plan, except the hope, to your point, of how our children might be great in sports.
Yeah, man, I think there's a subtle hypocrisy in some of this, because I think people assume that the world or the environment is going to help them raise their children, but then they don't want the environment to help them raise their children. Pick one.
Right. Well, the environment is going to help you one way or the other, right?
But will you like it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's keep going, because there's just so much more I want to get into, man. But we talked and we laughed about this because I really thought it was funny. I have a weird sense of humor. But we talked about the lie of letting kids be kids and what it's costing us. Speak to that. You can share what we talked about, or if you want to go in a totally different direction, but speak to that for us.
So along with backward design is this idea that we have that it's a little bit like old McDonald's. So you know, we seen this. The old McDonald had a farm, EIL, and the farm he had a duck, EIL, and the quack quack here and the quack quack there.
Right.
So at no point do we talk about the duckling. We don't say duckling. Old McDonald had duckling. We say Old McDonald had a duck. Old McDonald, the story of Old McDonald was always told from the lens of the adult animal, not the child. But when people in America, people all over, when people all over have children, they don't talk from the lens of the child being an adult. They talk about these various stages. Oh, I got a baby. Oh, I got a toddler. No, you have what I said is a man or woman in training. That's what you have. Right. So if you're letting kids be kids, what you're doing is you are circumventing the opportunity to raise a man or woman. Because as Aristotle famously said, and any child psychologist would tell you, the first 7 to 8 years of a child's life is when virtually everything about you as a human is formed. And so if I am raising you with this idea that you're a child or you're a baby, well, then when you come 35, you're still going to be thinking and behaving like a child and a baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way you were nurtured from the beginning. So I just think that's a faulty way to raise children.
Yeah. I think this is probably an easy answer for you, man. But what do you think is the danger in letting schools and coaches and even devices do the work of raising our kids?
Well, then you're stuck with their values, and their values may not be your values. And so if at the end of the day, you're going to be the person responsible for it. So you might as well put into the child what it is that you hope to get out of the child. Otherwise, you're going to get some things that you didn't expect, because you cannot possibly know everything about the other people who you are outsourcing your child's life to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. You did share a lot candidly about your tough childhood. We definitely connected on that issue, but you raised an exceptional person out of that. So I commend you for doing that. I'd love to hear some of the tough times or what the tough times taught you as a parent. And then I also love for you to speak to the people who may be watching and listening who may not have had a father in their life at all. How would you encourage them? So 2-part question. What did a tough times teach you as a parent? And secondly, how would you encourage to speak to somebody who, like myself, didn't have a father in the household? How would you encourage them through what you've been doing with the blueprint?
Sure. The toughest time for me as a parent is today, because every day,
Wow.
right? Because yesterday didn't count. And my challenge is, can I continue to be a worthwhile mentor, a worthwhile friend, a worthwhile colleague to my son? That's it. I want the relationship to live. So I have to, like anybody who's a farmer, every day I got to get up and plant, plow, fertilize, pull weeds, irrigate, etc. The toughest day is the day before you. Because tomorrow, yesterday is gone. I can't let we have some great times. If today I mess up, then all those great times are just memories that are painful. So every day to me is the toughest day, because I got to find a way to keep that relationship the way it is. Now, as an example of a tough time, it's just as a father is really letting go of my own childhood and my own insecurities and my own fears, my own dissatisfactions with my father, and not let those things spill over. I can remember, as an example, one Father's Day, my son, calling me by his name, 9 was 2. And I remember watching a a commercial, it was a Hallmark commercial. It was a father, a son, and a grandson all fishing. And I remember sitting watching the TV and just breaking down in tears because I knew that I was never gonna have that. So I was crying about what I couldn't have, which meant that I wasn't acknowledging what I had. What I had was this young man who loved me to death and needed me to be committed all in to getting him to be where he needed to be. And here I am thinking about what wasn't with my father, which I have no control of. So that was probably the toughest thing, to recognize, you know, what it is that I want for my life and what I want for my son's life, and whatever that is, it begins right now. And that's the lesson I learned.
I love that. I used to tear up at the tear up. Boohoo is more accurate. At those same pictures, but today when I look at the pictures like that or commercial like that, now I see myself as the grandfather.
Absolutely.
That wasn't happening before. Before I was like, okay, what am I missing? Why did I have that? Why did he want me?
Absolutely.
I see myself as the grandfather, but an opportunity to
be better.
That's down the line. So it's just a mindset shift. But how would you encourage folks who don't have a father in their life, because you have enough experience to say, you know what, let's have some good times and maybe some rough ones too. But how would you encourage them, especially they, you know, want to connect with you or learn from you and what you've been able to help others with?
Yeah, so I think of just this backward design. I would ask anyone who doesn't have a father. First of all, I would say, like, I'm sorry you don't have a father. But then I would say, okay, but what kind of father do you want to be? Like, because you have to make the intentional decision. You have to first recognize what you don't have. I don't have a father, or I had a bad father. Great, check. If your father had been active in your life and been exactly what you wanted, if the world were perfect, that father would have been what? And whatever those qualities are, then you find a way to be that for your child. Like, that's the mission. Like, if I'm a slave and I want freedom, and Yusuf comes along and tells me, hey, you see that big star? That's the North Star. Dude, follow that star and you'll get the freedom. If you've given me the direction, then I should follow that star to freedom. So I would ask people, like, what's the star for your freedom is to figure out what kind of father you would have wanted and be that version for your child.
I love that, man. That's good stuff. You authored more than 10 books. I'm going to ask you a tough question.
Yes.
Which of those books is the one? The one that you can call it your baby? Is the one that hits you the most when people ask you on podcasts and shows? It's the first one that comes out of your mouth. Which one? With no slight to the other, 9+. Which is the one?
It has to be the first one. It has to be Raising Superman, because that's the letters. Those are the letters that I wrote to Naeem. And without me writing those letters, I'm not here talking to you today. So it has to be that.
Really?
Yeah.
Flesh it out for me. Flesh it out. Why that one? Why was that so powerful?
Sure. So I again, trying to figure out what kind of father to be, I wrote my child letters. So I first started writing notes about what it was I wanted in this child's life. And I want him to win a high school Heisman. I want him to be a track and field. I want him to be a scholar. I want him to speak multiple languages. My hero, Paul Robeson. So that was my hero. That was my motto. I want my son to be like Paul Robeson. I want him to be a theatrical person. I want him to master languages, etc. Paul Robeson was my guy. That's what I wanted. So I wrote him letters as an unborn child about what it was, notes about what I wanted. And then as a 2-year-old, he asked me one day, walking to the mailbox, where was his mail? He didn't know that I'd been writing notes about what I wanted. So he says, Dad, where's my mail? And I was like, hey, man, bro, ain't nothing in this mailbox but bills. You don't want none of this. But daddy, I want mail. So I went to Target. I bought greeting cards and gift cards, and I started writing him. And what I found out is that I just didn't have enough space on the greeting cards or gift card. A greeting card or postcard. There was not enough space, because all of the things about my childhood, right, the things that I wish my dad had done for me or been better with me, those things came out as I was writing my child. So it became this cathartic moment where I was admitting to my child my own failures and flaws and fears, and then also saying to you, here's how you do better than me. And here's my promise to you that you're going to do better than me. So that's I wrote him from that 2-year-old. I wrote him till he was 16, like that. Good times, bad times, happy times, disappointing times, but generally I would write him as if there is a process. However, whatever outcome you got, let's remember you won this track meet today because not because what you did today, but what you started doing 9 weeks ago. Hey, you got this, you lost in this soccer game today, not because how you played today, because how you practiced the past 4 or 5 days or weeks or whatever. So everything was about giving him a process to live. At 16, he decided that he no longer wanted to stay in the United States. He wanted to leave high school. He did. He started high school early, so he earned enough high school credits and actually 33 college credits to leave as a junior after his junior year of high school. His dream was to play professional soccer abroad, so we discovered a way to get him to Brazil, and he moved to Brazil. But when he left, I figured I got this 16-year-old. The technology was not what it is today, so I was like, I don't know really how I'm going to talk to him. So I printed 38 of the letters that I'd written him over his lifetime, and I put them in a binder. And I said, hey, like I'm about to go back. We're going to be 6,000 miles apart. I know you feel like you've grown. I probably there's nothing else I could do for you. So I put these letters in the binder and I left it. I went to Rio for a few days. My wife called me and said, you got to go back to the academy where he was. I paid for a cab ride. It was $415. That's $415 to go back to this academy to get this child who my wife told me wasn't doing well, who I expect to have his bags packed to go home. And when I get there, he has a big smile on his face. And I was like, yo, what's up? He said, no, I got a question for you. Did you put the letters in any particular order? And I said, no, why? He said, I reread the first 3. I remember my purpose. I'm going to be fine. But Dad, here's what we're going to do. Whenever I return, we're going to publish these letters. And I was like, are you sure? Because these letters are from me to you. He said, no, we're publishing them, Dad, because whenever you tell me I can do something, not only do I know I can do it, I know it's going to happen. And so that is the reason that book exists. And that's the reason why I'm here with you today.
I'm assuming he don't have the $415 in his hand when you pull up there, but it's all good.
No, I paid it. There's more of a story with that. It almost didn't get out the card. The internet didn't work, right? Which led him to be, in all seriousness, it led him to do what he's doing. When I get there, the cab driver tells me he takes credit card, but the Wi-Fi and the energy on the facility, because it's in Brazil, it's in this rural area, it won't work. So he tries to fight my card repeatedly and nothing happens. So now he doesn't want to give me my bags and stuff. Right. And so I scrounged enough money together. My son has some money I left him with, and we were able to pay him. Today, Naeem is a Ph.D. in electrical computer engineering. Why? Because when he was in Brazil, he said it makes no sense that you could live anywhere in the world and people struggle to have internet and energy. So my objective, when my career is over, is to use technology to enhance the lives of people who've been historically and geographically underserved and underrepresented.
That man's a prince. God bless him, man. I love this. Yep. Now, I only had a couple more questions, but I wanted to, now you spark another one for me. So I'm going to add this one to it as well.
Sure.
I might be exposing myself as an idealist. That could be what's getting ready to happen. But the idea of writing letters to your child, I find it astounding. Do you see, well, I can't ask Naeem, but do you find value in that? To teach that to people now in this day and age, in this era where the kids are, where they are.
Yes. Yeah.
In front of the devices. Do you find value in that? Yes, or this generation just they're not cut out for what you're trying to accomplish with that? What do you think?
So I say yes, absolutely. There's still value in the written word. There's always value in the written word because you and I are always reading something that somebody else wrote. The challenge is for people to stop thinking about here and now. See, yeah, you might think today that the child won't care about it, but let me tell you something. If you and if my father had written me letters and my father passed in 2018 on May 13th on Mother's Day, so I can never forget in 2018. If I had letters from my father today, that my father wrote me about what it means to be a man and how important I was, etc., I would absolutely read those. That's the only thing my father could have left me that was of value. He didn't have any money to leave me. Like most parents are not leaving their children a fortune. Although folks want to talk about generational wealth, like the real thing you should be thinking about is generational mental health. Can we leave people healthy mentally for generations? That's the challenge. So yeah, I think writing people, and I've actually said this to fathers. Hey, start writing your children. It doesn't have to be anything big. Just write your children. If it's just to tell them that you love them, because there's nothing like the written word.
I love it. All right, just a couple more questions, and then we'll go ahead and let you share some with our audience before we close out. So, as a TEDx speaker, you had a talk called "We Owe Generation Z an Apology." Why would that talk necessary? Tell me that as brief as you can, and then we'll move closer to the end. Go ahead.
So I was asked to do a talk because at the time my son fit in the brackets for Gen Z. That they've since changed him, so he's not in it. But nonetheless, I used to hear adults complain about the children of the day, which we always do. And so my point to them was, whatever those children are, they are because it's who we made them. And rather than criticize them, perhaps we should offer them an apology and then a roadmap on how to be better. Because if all we're going to do is complain about them, they've never been on this planet before. There's no chance they're ever going to come onto the earth knowing what you know. But the only way they're going to know what you know is if you provide them with some good instruction and stop criticizing.
I have to imagine it's a very popular talk, but it's a TEDx talk. We owe Generation Z an apology. If you're listening and watching live on the replay, definitely want to check it out. All right. So our last question is always the one that we ask all our guests. You should already know what's going to be coming. All right. So we call it our CMV question, career, mission, vocation. So we're taking everything that you've done up to this point. I don't care if it's vocation-wise, mission-wise, career, everything off of the table. What is Nathaniel most likely doing right now outside of those things? Maybe it's an unfulfilled dream, maybe something that's been on the shelf that you never touched. What are you most likely doing? This is something you have not touched yet. It has not been done.
Something I have never done.
Never. You just probably thought about it. Maybe you wrote it down in the journal, but you never done it.
Parachuting out of a plane.
No, Corey. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You want me to do something as a career? Something as a career?
Career, mission, or vocation. Parachute ain't neither one of those things.
Well, if I do it wrong, it's only happen once.
Parachute ain't no mission. Why parachute? No.
Because I have a list of things that I want to do that are not common, I would say, and I feel like I got to give myself some way to be excited about getting up every day and doing something new. I do the same things every day.
That's going to be the thing. You're going to get out of bed.
That's one of them. That's one of them.
And hopefully,
I won't splat. Yeah, I won't splat. Right, I won't splat.
Oh goodness!
I don't know what I would do other than write. Like honestly, the thing that I'm most excited about doing, and I never get tired of, is writing. I write every day. I cannot imagine a life where I don't get to write.
I've never done this before, but this is going to be a new thing. Let me throw out a suggestion.
Absolutely.
You got to go do it. This is just a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching children.
Well, I'm already doing that. You want me to start a school? I thought about that.
Dream build. Yeah.
I did. I applied for some funding to start a school. So I call it and we call it the X School.
Okay. See, we here.
Yeah. And I applied for some money to build a community called a nano community. But we don't have time to talk about that today. But it was a community using my son's engineering insights to make it such that people who Black, brown, and historically and geographically underserved could live for about $750 a month, have everything they need, live off the land, and be able to, over a 30-year period, save about $3.5 million. We reached out to some people about 15 years ago that were first starting to do 3D printed homes. Today, now that's all a thing, but most 3D printer companies have escalated the price of building the home based upon the community. But we wanted to do something different. We wanted to build a great school and only allow people to live in it if they agree with the covenant. So if people who are wealthy wanted to live in the community, that's great, but you can only live in a house equal to the ones that we're building, and then you have to put money aside for someone else to live in the same community.
Oh boy! All right, so that's really awesome. After this, we got to chat about something. You sparked something. Okay. I might be able to offer option to help you out with exploring some of these ideas. All right, so final thing. So we got a free starter kit called "Who Are You?" Break that down real quick, and then after you do that, take a couple of minutes to speak to our audience. Whatever you want to share that you feel led to share. Okay. So talk about the free starter kit real quick, if it applies to our audience, and then a couple of minutes to speak to them and just encourage them however you want to. Go ahead.
Okay, so the starter kit is a life template. Starter kit is much about what we talked about backward designs. The question is two questions. One is, who do you want to be when your time on this planet is over? And then asking yourself what you were made for. So a little bit like what you've asked me, and whatever those answers are, there's a process that the template provides you to get started. It's just to get you to start thinking about where it is you want to go, who it is you need in your life to make that kind of happen. Like, how do you create your own village? We talk about it takes a village to raise a child. The truth is, we're all children. We all still need a village. So that's what the free starter kit is. I
love it.
The second question was, what do I want to tell your audience? I want to tell your audience that I'm grateful that Mr. Yu invited me to be here. And in all seriousness, I want your audience to know, because I think this is important, that I was late. And I want him to know, and I want you to know, I want to make it public that I'm sorry for being late. And I want to do that because so often when we do something, we fail in the dark. We don't want people to bring it to light. But I want people to know that when we fail, it's okay. And that the best thing you can do when you fail is to stand up and say to someone, I failed. And next time, if you give me a next time, my hope is that I'll do better the next time than I did this time. But mostly, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have this conversation with you.
I'm grateful you were here too. And hopefully our audience and listeners, when it's live on the replay, are grateful too, because this was an outstanding conversation. I know it's not going to be the last one. I definitely want to stay it with you so I can hear about what Naeem is doing. I'm super interested, and I don't know how I can contribute to that, but I'm super interested in what he's doing. I think it's one of those kind of broad goals that kind of matter. You know, everybody has some goals, but they don't all matter. But that one really does matter. So I'm excited about that. I want to stay with you and hear that. But if you guys are watching and listening, of course, we're on all the listening platforms, of course. And of course, you can find all of our social media links at theycallmemisteryou.buzzsprout.com. If you want to find a one-stop shop to find everything. And of course, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/theycallmemisteryou. Thanks again for this time, Nathaniel. And for all you guys watching and listening to the show, drop your comments in the comment section. We'll catch them. Nathaniel will have his information in the show notes, so you can kind of follow him and keep up with what he's doing and ask him some questions, I'm sure. Well, thank you again for the time, everybody that's watching and listening. Have a fantastic day.